Hi guys, and welcome to the rocket launcher workshop. I'm going to show you how you can create your own rocket launcher using the materials that you have within your house. Okay, so there's 4 steps to the process. I'm going to tell you what the 4 steps are, and then we're going to get into it and create the rocket launcher. The 4 steps start off with step 1. It's the materials and the items that we need in order to create the rocket launcher. Step 2 is designing the rocket. Step 3 is designing the rocket and the launcher together as one. And step 4, yep, you got it, it's the launch. Okay, so are you about to have fun? Let's hope so. Now for step 1, I'm going to identify the items you require to make your rocket launcher. Don't worry, if you don't have the items in front of you, that's fine. Make sure you have a notepad and pen, and as I'm talking through the items, you can write them down so that you can come back later to this video and create your own rocket launcher. So the first thing is paper. So as you can see, I have some A4 white clear paper. This paper is what I use for my computer for printing. Now, as long as the paper is lightweight, it doesn't matter if it's coloured, if it's got pattern on, whatever, as long as it's lightweight, because this is going to form our rocket. And in order for our rocket to launch, it has to be a lightweight, so it goes further. So we need paper. A4, we need 3 sheets of paper. Okay. Next, we need some colouring pens. So you can have as many or as little as you want, and whatever colours you like. These pens will actually we'll use to create our designs on our rocket. So the more colours, the more creative you can be. Next, we need some sellotape. The sellotape will be used for a variety of reasons during the activity. Then we have some scissors. Now, what we must remember is scissors can be very dangerous and can cut and give us very sharp, deep wounds. So please, we need to make sure that we remain safe while we're having fun. So until you use the scissors, make sure they're kept closed at all times. Okay? What you may need to do is inform an adult within the household that you're going to be using sharp pairs of scissors in order to cut for the activity. They may wish to supervise you during this point. Next, we need some pipe. This pipe is what I actually found in my garden shed, and it's just an old piece of pipe that I cut 12 inches long to use for this activity. The most important thing is that it is with a very smooth surface, because on there goes the rocket, and the diameter of the pipe has to fit inside the bottle that we're going to use. And finally, we have an empty bottle. This one was a lemonade bottle, and yes, I've drank it all, and it was very nice. However, it can be any type of pop bottle or any type of bottle that is of similar size. And this is what we will use as part of our launch. So now you have it. 6 items that we need that hopefully you can find in the house. I'm going to give you a few minutes to have a look around the house, see if you can find these items, or if you already have them in front of you, make sure that you place them out on the table ready to start the activity, and I'll see you for step 2. Okay, so let's start with step 2. Now, as you can see, I've got all the items here that's required for the activity. I'm going to remove some of them out of my way for the ones that I don't actually need. So right now, I don't need the bottle. So I've placed the bottle to one side. Now, move these items around to give yourself a little bit more room. Now I'm going to start off with creating the wings of the rocket. So as you can see, I've still got my 3 sheets of paper, and right now all I need is 1 sheet. So I'll put the 2 sheets there, and I'm focusing on the 1 sheet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to its side, and I'm going to half it. Like so. So it falls down the centre and it looks a bit like a book. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the scissors. So remember what we said earlier, the scissors are very sharp, so please be careful when using the scissors and make sure that when we start cutting, you keep your fingers out of the way. So what I want to do is, I want to create a diamond shape in order to create the wings. So I'm going to start from the centre with my scissors, and I'm going to face the scissors so that we end up finishing our cutting down at this point. So we start here in the middle and we'll work towards the corner. Okay, this piece of paper we can leave to one side because you can actually use this as well to create a second rocket if you so wish. However, this is what we've just cut, and this is what will be the wings of our rocket. Now, this is where you may want to add some design. So, grab your pens and start with your creative thinking and create whatever design you want on your wings. This is your rocket, your design. Okay? So I'm just going to draw a few little lines on, and for the next 2 minutes or so, I'm going to leave you to also start getting designing on your wings. So I'm just adding a triangle within, and I'm going to repeat this on the other side. Then I think I'll use another colour to add, and then I'm going to create another triangle again with it. Now bear in mind, this is just quickly to show you how you can just add a bit of colour to the wings. You can create whatever design you wish to create on the wings of your rocket. Now I'm going to add my name on here because I want people to see that I have created my own little rocket launcher. So I'm just going to write my name, Dionne, on each of the wings. So that if it does end up going up in the sky and disappears, then when it comes down and lands in someone else's garden, they'll know it was me that created it. Okay? Now I might just add a little bit of colour into the front of the nose of the wings, and there we have it, some design on the wings. Okay, you may wish to add a couple of more colours on there, whatever design you wish. You can sit for the half an hour and create it, but what I'm going to do is, for this exercise, I'm going to leave as is, and I'm now going to continue with the next steps of the exercise. So now we have our wings. Okay, so I'm just going to leave them to one side. I no longer require the pens, so I'm now going to put the pens out of the way. Next, we have the pipe. Now, this is the pipe that's going to form part of the launcher. So you have to fully understand how we're going to use the pipe and the pieces of paper to create the rocket sitting on the pipe. We have to get this step right. Okay, so I'm going to take one sheet of paper and I'm going to turn it so it's on its side, and I'm going to lie it down flat. I'll move this out the way so that you can see clearly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the pipe, the end that is not going to go into the bottle, I'm going to place at the front of the paper here. So I'm going to get the paper and I'm going to hold the paper to the pipe, turn it round, and I'm just going to wrap the paper around tightly around the tubing or the pipe. Nice and tight. Okay, roll it a few times, but do not use the whole of the paper because there's no need to. So once you've used half of the sheet, we then need to cut the rest of the paper off. Be careful because your fingers are underneath the pipe. Make sure you move them out of the way as you're using the scissors. Okay, so now what we have is the paper wrapped around the pipe. I'm going to get the tape and I'm going to cut it about 6 inches or 18 centimetres. I'm going to cut the sellotape, stick one end to the table, keep moving around, cut the 6 pieces off so that it's much easier for when I need the sellotape, I can just literally take it straight from the table as opposed to constantly dropping things down and cutting sellotape off the roll. So 6 pieces we need. And if we do need any more, that's fine. We can add some more as we go along. Okay? However, for now, I have my 6 pieces. Right, so scissors closed, sellotape to one side. Now, I'm going to put the tubing back in. So remember, if it's unrolled, it's absolutely fine. Just remember, the paper needs to be to the end that isn't going to go into the pipe. We need to leave about an inch gap. And then the other side, well, it'll be wider because this part is going to go into the bottle. So we're going to tighten the paper around, tuck in the lip of the paper, and then keep moving it and moving it. So then we have it back on here. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to put some sellotape on these edges to seal them down. Now, what we need to make sure at this point is that none of the sellotape goes over the paper and sticks onto the pipe, because you know what will happen? The rocket won't remove itself from the launcher and it won't launch. If you end up going over, all you do is take a little bit of the sellotape off. It's just important that we have that flat and that there is no sellotape stuck either side. And to make sure there's no sellotape stuck either side, if we just get the paper and we can move it around freely, but not too loose, onto the tube, on the tube there. Okay? And you move it back and forwards, aren't you? Okay. So this piece of paper is no longer needed. So now we have our wings. We have one piece of paper on the tubing, which is just a little way from the end, and there's a bigger gap on that side where we're going to put it into the bottle. So then we grab our last piece of paper and we're going to repeat that process again. However, this time the second sheet of paper does not go on as tightly onto the tube, because this is going to sit over the top of the first piece of paper and we don't want them stuck together. So again, you can lie your paper flat on the table, long ways, like that, and then just sit it on top, and then again repeat the process where you get the paper and you roll it over to the tube, tuck it in, again the same as before, but this time not as tightly. Okay, so we roll it and then again we cut the excess paper off. Remember, moving your fingers out the way, and we cut along. Okay, this piece of paper we are going to stick down in the exact same way. Remember, this sellotape does not go. Now you might want to use 2 pieces, you might get away with just using 1 piece, but it does not go, but it does not stick on the pipe, and it does not stick on the piece of paper that's underneath. So if I hold the pipe, I can hold onto the piece of paper underneath, that's still there, and then I can move this one back and forwards over the top. Okay? Now, what I need to happen is, I need the second piece of paper now to come along to the end. So I want it So remember, keep this area clear. This is going to go into the bottle. So I'll take it back. There you go. There's the end of the pipe. I'm going to use the second sheet, and the first sheet should still stay in position, not moving with the second sheet. And the second sheet, I'm going to bring it out over the end of the tube, and I'm going to have about 6 centimeters over the tube, the end of the tube. So as you can see, if you look in, you can see the end of the tube there, and you can see where I've took the paper over the edge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal the end of that tube with this piece of paper. So I'm going to close it, close it in. It doesn't matter how you close it as long as it's sealed like that. Now I'm going to stick some sellotape over that so it can't open. I'm going to seal it shut. So with the piece of sellotape, I'm going to stick down onto the paper and then go around onto the edge. So that's it. It's sealed. Okay. Now that can't go anywhere. It can come off, but it can't go back right across to the other side of this tube. I've still got the other tube sitting underneath. Okay. So what you should say is, the very first piece of paper that you put on, you can see that here, just under here. Okay. Because this has now been moved further away from it. So now you have it like that. So it'll be pipe or tubing, the first sheet underneath, and then the second sheet. Okay, and that's how we've got it. Now what we're going to do is we're now going to fix the wings to the rocket. So you've got your tube here. This is the sealed end. I'm going to face the sealed end towards you, and I'm going to lie it flat. I've now got my wings, and in the diamond shape, the point, the tip of the triangle, I'm now going to lie that onto the second sheet of paper. It is not going to touch the pipe, and it's not going to touch the piece of paper, the first piece of paper we put on. So I'll show you this way. So we have the pipe, we have the very first piece of paper that we put on, then there's the start of the second piece of paper, and just a little bit further up I've placed the wings. Okay, so the centre of the wings lies in centre of the pipe. So if there's the point that I coloured in of the wings, and then there's the centre there. What we are going to do is we are going to place sellotape onto the wings and onto this piece of paper. We must not let the sellotape touch the first piece of paper or the pipe. If we have, our rocket won't launch. Okay, so it's just a little bit paper, and if it makes it easier, just move the wings further towards the sealed end so that you just have enough room here to put a nice bit of sellotape and run your sellotape all the way down the edge and over onto this part here. Okay, if it ends up being too long and it goes right the way around the tip, that's fine, because all you're doing is double sealing it. Okay, so let's see. We've got this sheet of paper, sellotape, and then we're going to put the sellotape on and we're going to seal it. So there you go. The sellotape's just sitting over onto the second piece and just on the second piece here. It is not touching the very first piece we put on, and it's not touching the pipe. Okay, so if I move it, if I pull the pipe out slightly, the first piece of paper comes out with the pipe, and the rocket now sits and can move around freely. Okay, that is step 2 of the process completed. We've created our rocket and we've attached it to the first part of the launcher. Now I'm going to give you a few more minutes, and just so you can get that technique right, making sure that your rocket can move freely on the first sheet of paper and the pipe. Okay, don't take it right off because you might find it difficult to get it back on the pipe. You need to have the sealed end and an open end for the next step, which is step 3. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Hi everyone, and now we're back for step 3 of the rocket launcher. So, previous step, we have this. We still have some of the paper lying around or sellotape. We can get rid of the paper. We no longer need the paper for this activity. However, what we do need is the empty bottle. So if I bring the empty bottle back, here we go. So now we can keep the sellotape just in case we run out of any sellotape. So now we have the rocket, which is currently sitting on the tubing, which is part of the launcher, and we have the bottle. The bottle is the main pad of the launcher. Okay. Now what we're going to do in step 3 is we're going to bring these two items together, and then we have our rocket launcher. So this is the final step before we go on to step 4 of the final, which is the test. It's the launch. Okay, so let's start. Step 3, here we go. So with the empty bottle we need to place the open-ended part of the pipe into the open of the bottle. Now we must be careful that we don't just put the pipe in, because what will happen is it'll just drop straight down there, the rocket will come off and the pipe will be stuck in the bottle. What we need to do is we need to sit it just slightly inside the opening of the bottle, like so. Okay? So it's 3-4 centimeters in. If you wish to make it a little bit more solid and you feel comfortable, put that little bit more in just so that you can see through there. Okay? Now, as you can tell, there's a gap between the pipe and the opening of the bottle. We need to make sure that we seal this gap, because when we come to do the launch, we're going to force the air from the bottle. We don't want it to leak out of the gap around the rim of the pipe. We want to force the air from the bottle straight through into the tube to force the rocket to launch. Okay, so how we seal that, and you can tell because if you just slowly, you can hear the air escaping from the rim of the bottle. We need to seal that. So how we seal it is we just use sellotape. So if you don't have a piece of sellotape still left from what we cut earlier, then cut another piece. So then we're just going to wrap the sellotape so that the sellotape sits on the rim of the bottle, and also it grabs a hold of the pipe. Okay, so we're sellotaping the pipe and the tip of the bottle so that we're blocking any air escaping from the bottle around the side of the tube. Okay, then when we stand it up, hopefully we've sellotaped it well enough that the pipe stays in position and we have it like this. Now if you wish, you can add a bit more sellotape just so that you feel comfortable that when you bang the air, the pipe doesn't come away. So you can add a little bit more sellotape, but please remember the sellotape must only go on the tip of the bottle, the rim of the bottle, and also onto the pipe. It must not overlap onto the paper. Okay, so now we've got the sellotape around. And as you can see, there's the pipe sitting inside, and we've got the sellotape around, all the way around here. So now it's a sealed unit. Okay, so here we have it. This is our rocket launcher. And now we're ready to launch our rocket. I'm going to actually take my rocket out into the back garden where I can test its ability to go as far as it possibly can. One thing we must do to ensure safety is that we must point the rocket up to the sky or up to the ceiling, depending on where you're going to launch it. We cannot point it into the direction of a person, because the force that we're going to create behind the rocket through the bottle could actually injure someone. So please make sure the rocket is pointing up and up only. Okay, now for the test. Let's just see if our skills have paid off. And now I'm going out into the back garden to test it. It is rather windy, so I'm hoping that the wind doesn't actually grab a hold of the rocket and take it off into someone's garden. because as you can see, my name is written all over it, and I really don't want the neighbours coming saying that I'm littering the garden with me rocket. Okay, so here's for the test. Fingers crossed. So as you can see, the launch did work, albeit it went into a different direction, but it took off with some force, I have to say. So I'm really pleased with the launch of my rocket. How did your launch go? Did it go just as well? Or have you got some tweaks to do? That's fine, it's all about the learning. Let's see how you's got on. Please share your videos with the Scouts. And let's see if you can, over the next coming weeks, create bigger and better rockets. See you soon for another chapter. Bye! One more final thing I needed to say. I've now been promoted. Do you like? I'm not quite sure if I want to go to be an engineer or whether I want to work in construction. Either way, my skill sets fit in both sectors. Let's hope you get promoted after your launch. Bye.